Welcome to the top ultimate weapons for the First Descendant. I have over 200 hours plus a bunch of different websites that are weapon tools, calculating all the information, and also having hands on to decide what is the best. We also have for the rare weapons as well, so you can watch that after this if you don't have the ultimate weapons that you see in this list. Before we get started, I have a giveaway for the community, so just thank you guys. I have Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, probably the greatest game I've ever played. They're doing a remake, and I'm giving the copies away of that and Assassin's Creed Shadows. So make sure you hit the comments to enter. Now we're gonna get into it, and I want to start off with what is probably the most renowned weapon and well known. There's a reason why this is given to you. It helps you clear ads, so it'll help you through the story. If you want to buff this by picking up, it's so easy to farm. It's literally easy to farm. I think I farmed it in 2 hours to max it all the way out. I got 4 copies of it to install to be able to max it out. And basically, after you kill an enemy, it has a chance to make them explode. And you can boost up the chance and continue to help yourself by doing so. That's why I love it. Very exciting stuff. And that is something that I would recommend for anybody and everybody to check out as number one for standard, best in class. Again, we don't have the rares in this video, but so just stick with me for the ultimates for now. And speaking of another ultimate, competing with that weapon, and I believe it's a better bossing weapon, is the Python. The Python is super spectacular when I mean like very beautiful, and it hits extremely hard. When you're hitting those weak points on these enemies, you're going to be doing some serious damage, and it's very important to pick this up if you're done with the Thunder Cage. And that's something I'm going to do, is have multiple builds, multiple weapons, and go from there. We continue. So those are the two best submachine guns. I think it's submachine guns are some of the most popular, so I wanted to start off with that. But I did want to get into the handguns. I think that they are the most slept on in this game, and there's two of them. One of them is the Perforator, and basically you hitting weak points, it's going to inflict damage to the enemy shield proportional to the shield max shield. So, and it also has some very cool stunning effects that you can utilize with other characters to help you buff yourself even more. So it's a tool for characters. That's something I didn't mention. um Different characters will buff the weapons that you're using, so never go by one weapon, because I promise you, let's say you play Sharon, you pull out a sniper, you're gonna do some crazy damage and be surprised by how effective it is for specific characters. Speaking of specific characters, this right here has been my number one from the beginning of the game. The first one of the first weapons I picked up. It is called the Devotion, and it basically, when you're hitting enemy weak spots, it basically debuffs them, and then it basically helps your allies. So it is amazing, and I would recommend it for everybody to buff this up as well and get this out there. These type of weapons keep you moving, keep you mobile, but also put out some serious damage. And hand cannons are very important to the game, in my opinion. So make sure you check that out and get into it, man. Get into it. I do want to take a moment to talk about one more handgun, and I know a lot of people are probably not that into handguns. I actually am, and I love it. So let's get into this bad boy right here, the Last Dagger. I really like the Last Dagger. You have amazing ability to stack up patience and enhance your rounds, and then also being able to stun enemies. So this to me can be a very special weapon, and the stats show. Again, we're just talking numbers here. that this is one of the highest DPS weapons. And of course, depending on the character you use and setup that you set up with it, can even get better. So I would recommend you check that out if you have it or you want to get it. A good bet, let's just say, for you to have to go from there. And now we're gonna start getting into the juicy stuff and the stuff that you might be spamming a lot of. And there's a lot of great weapons in here, personally, but I just want to talk about the stats and give you guys the information. So let's get into this bad boy right here. Restored Relic. It is one of the best launchers in the game. Specifically, it is extremely powerful because it has guided rounds and fire. So when you use it for characters who are fire focused, this is a huge help. And like I said, there are better weapons like the Guardian R4 or the Organ. Both of those are top tier, but we're not doing rare weapons, which is the ultimate weapons only guide for now. But yeah, so those are just some weapons that I honestly think you should look into when it comes to the launchers. Now we're getting into the juicy ones, and this is where most of us have a tamer, for example. And the weapon I'm about to talk about is not saying it's a better version because the stats show that it isn't better, but it does have the capability to stay right there with it, and it also has some unique elements. So instead of just having a tamer with no unique ability, this one does. All right. So when you hit an enemy, status effect trigger responds to the element and it flicks the unique Quentin. And this is basically putting enemies on fire and then buffing the attack as well. So this is critical to add to your game, right? So if you have the tamer, fine. If you can get this, even better. You can do a little different damage on top of it. And it's not always going to be necessary. Sometimes you might need the tamer. The versatility is a factor as well. So just take that into account and then figure out what you would want to do. Personally, I love it. And again, I'm only going by the stats here, guys. I use a tamer more than the enduring legacy, for my personal opinion. But that's just me. And that's the same thing with other weapons like shotguns. I've been using shotguns like the unconscious, which personally is fun for me. But I definitely just got a brand new version here. Smithers hit an enemy with all fired bullets, increases the critical hit rate and the damage, critical hit damage. All right, upon attacking enemies. I've been wanting to make a build, and I'll probably have it this week. I already have footage of me doing something crazy, and might be using this weapon and changing it up because I used the unconscious one. But this right here, as far as the ultimate versions, it's one of the top tier, best in class, and it's literally one of the highest in this game. So you should definitely check that out and see if that's something you're into. Now, this is more of a standard weapon that I think everybody should have in their play class. Even if you don't use this element, it is extremely useful to have, and that is the Fallen Hope. It does poison damage to enemies. It is going to increase your attack as well, buffing you up. And then the explosion is going to affect others as well. And this to me is top tier. But you got to notice that I'm talking about base versions of these weapons. And the stats are showing that it is one of the best assault rifles. Of course, the ultimate willpower is stronger, but I have a video breaking down the rare weapons, which I'm going to make sure I upload right away. These back to back, so you can have that on your setup. But yeah, so that is, to me, one of my favorites when it comes to just burst fire type of weapons that are super cool and interesting and that I'm loving right now. want to talk about scouts because I think that people are sleeping on scouts. We'll mostly focus on assault rifles, but I really love scouts. I've been using the Age of Invention, which is a rare weapon, but this bad boy right here, this ultimate Wave of Light, after reloading, it grants you a unique ability of solar hell. Hitting an enemy while solar is active inflicts Luna Hell on a target. So this is crazy, okay? So I personally love this. And if you want a versatile, one thing about the scouts I could say off rip that I love is that you're able to be more mobile and you have rapid fire compared to a sniper where you have to stop, shoot, you know, reload basically. And so for me, Wave of Light, top tier, honorable mention that you guys might have already unlocked because I know I got a lot of pieces for it and things like that is the Blue Beetle. It's not the top. Again, like I told you guys, in the top of the scouts is Wave of Light and then Age of Invention. But Blue Beetle is right there. And it has special effects. Again, you want to be able to enhance your characters. So this has fusion or singular skill. Okay, so if you're using a character with both of those and there's a couple of them, you're going to be able to do more damage with this thing. So it is a necessary tool, in my opinion, to be able to enhance your gameplay and to really take it to that next level, in my opinion, of course. And so now we're going to get into the juicy ones. These are like heavy hitters that will surprise you in the long run and help you get excited, hopefully. I am about them because I love them. So, first and foremost, snipers, one of the most powerful tools in the game. The piercing light. All right, this is the number one weapon when it comes to snipers, as far as base DPS. And then you add all the unique abilities and you add on what it could do. On hitting a weak point, inflict dispel on enemies, right? When two or more enemies are hit with a single shot, there is a chance to land a critical hit on an enemy while it increase your critical hit damage and applies a buff. So this is one of the best just pure DPS versions. And this is what I was trying to explain is there's different styles and stuff that's like, oh wow, yeah, that's very good. That's something I love and I'm into. And this is where you change it up and you put on something that I'm going to be using for one of my builds, which is the Afterglow sword. This is top tier. When you hit a weak point, it inflicts the unique effect to death. And for Colossus, for example, you're going to get critical hit rate and you're going to be able to amplify that. I have a build for this set up for you guys so you can watch that as well. And basically, you're just stacking your critical hit rate, 100% critical hit chance, and so much more. And this is why I love that weapon as we go forward. And again, there's a lot of other weapons, but I want to only give you the top tier versions and the ones that I love. This is one that I got super early and I thought it was very cool. It's a tactical rifle. It is called Greg's Reversed Fate. When you hit an enemy with max shields, it procs a bombardment, which explodes and puts fires on enemy. This is one of those tools I've been using on bosses just to put different status effects on them and see how it affects them, and really changes the game for me. And it's done a good job, in my opinion, for that. I love it. I love it. And again, this is strictly the ultimate weapons. I had to wait until we got the data. We done the research where there's these websites and tools that did all the calculations. I don't want to bore you guys with the numbers. I'm giving you straight facts on which weapon should be trying for each class, basically, and giving you the top versions of them. Now, I do have the rare top tier list that should be popping up on your screen. But before you go, make sure you hit that comment so that you can get a chance to win one of these video games. And we'll be doing more and more giveaways. As long as you share this and help build the channel, we'll continue to give you guys nothing but the best. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and check out the tier list for the rare weapons popping up now.